Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Somewhere in the Middle with Michelle Berard. I'm your host, Michelle Berard, founder and CEO of Michelle A. Berard LLC and Urban Book Editor. And I'm very happy to share this hour with you, where we examine all those places where spirit meets life and the joys and challenges that may bring. Now, you guys know I like to start by thanking Ms. Beverly Black and Tribe Family Channel for helping me create this space for us. Tribe Family Channel is home to an assortment of thought-provoking shows that explore life, spirit, business, and culture, including The Woman at the Well, hosted by Ms. Beverly Black herself. Somewhere in the Middle was born on Tribe Family Channel, and though we have grown onto our own platform, we are ever grateful and loyal to our roots. To paraphrase an African proverb, we are here only because we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. I want to say thank you to my guest on December 6th show, social worker and education expert Terrellyn Rivers Cannon. You can connect with Terrellyn on social media and at her podcast, Dare to Soar with Dr. RC, on Bold Brave Media. If you missed that show, make sure you listen to the replay. You can find our complete show archives, including the December 6th show, at the somewhereinthemiddlepodcast.com. I also want to shout out Bruce George of the Genius is Common movement, which encourages all of us to embrace our inner genius and share it with the world. This is a really important message, and I really want you guys to share this with the youth. But remember, it's not just for the youth. We adults sometimes need to be reminded that the world needs our genius. Learn more about the Genius is Common movement at www.geniusiscommon.com. Now, it's the holidays, so we're taking a little time off, but I'm excited to share an encore presentation of an interview I conducted with Kalani Chapman Sr., a.k.a. Hitachi Choparazzi, author of the new urban novel, Pimp, which can be purchased on Amazon and at his website, HitachiChoparazzi.com. That's HitachiChoparazzi.com. Chop shares about his background and growing up in the streets and how he's worked to turn his thinking around and in doing so, turn his life around. Enjoy.
I usually start my interviews with two questions.
Okay.
And you've heard me ask these questions because you've listened to my show.
Okay.
So, Kalani Chapman Sr.,
Mm-hmm.
Who are you, and how did you get to be who you are today?
Okay. That's a good question. Kalani Chapman Sr. I'm a native New Yorker by the way of Omaha, Nebraska, who currently resides in Arizona right now. I grew up, I come from a, very diverse, dysfunctional background. I lived in several different cities, typical hood story, I grew up in the hood, been through a lot of stuff, trials, court cases, involved in shootings, different things, growing up, letting the blind lead the blind, And then, I went through some trials and tribulations, and through that, I did a straight turnaround through a hard waking up. I bumped my head, I had to slip and fall to get up, and then I used that energy to do a complete 180-degree turn, a straight turnaround with my life and everything, and, I started praying, I started meditating more, and started finding myself more, started growing out of ways that I thought was wrong, was right and right was wrong, you know. So that concept and having to refuel my brain, having to refuel and rebuild my mental, and you know, started progress and you know, prayer and meditation helped me push through a lot. You know, so with that, you know, I developed that. I took all that positive energy. I redirected energy and challenged myself to propel myself to, you know, do something different and stand out. You know, like if I had a second chance at life, what would I do? You know, what would I do if I had a second chance, if I had a second comeback? You know, with me, you know, being, you know, confined to a wheelchair for several months, you know, and not being able to walk, to have to learn how to walk over again. You know, it helps me motivate. Like if I had my legs again, what would I do? So it was the same thing. And especially after I got incarcerated, you know, pushed my mind to do different things and trained me to use different parts of my brain and to think outside of a box because I was in the box, you know. After that, I started formulating, you know, I started writing my thoughts, writing everything down. And, you know, to make a long story short, I started formulating different plans and different concoctions of ideas. And I formulated one of them was to write a book because I was so good at telling stories, you know. So I figured I'd write a book. After I wrote a book, you know, I wrote an urban novel, and everybody liked it when I was incarcerated. They really liked it, you know, the feel of it, and it pushed me further. So I wrote another one, and they liked it. Then I wrote a third book, and they liked it. They loved it. So I was like, okay, this is what I can do. And afterwards, you know, my genius mind frame, you know, afterwards I decided to you know what, I'm going to do my own Chapman Senior Literary Agency, and I'm going to start my own publishing company. I'm going to self-publish from right here in the cell. I'm going to self-publish, and, you know, it's not even to get paid. It's just that the legacy that I want to work on and what I want to leave behind and how I had it rough and didn't no generation leave nothing for me. So I want to break that cycle all the way across the board and, you know, put together a $1 billion blueprint, you know, and, you know, do the outline of my different projects. I have 10 different projects that I do. I do several different things. You know, I write. I'm a tattoo artist. You know, I'm a shoe designer. I'm doing shirts, you know, with my cousin. I got a child safety device. My mind it works in so many different ways. You know, I got a few restaurants and a few social media sites that I'm putting together too. So it's just a lot of different ways that I occupy my time, and I don't believe every day should be wasted without me doing something therapeutic, something constructional, something physical, you know, physical, mental, something spiritual. You know, so I continue to build on each of my projects every day. As long as I do something every day towards one of my projects and not no negative or what I used to do, then I'm good. But that right there is Kalani Chapman Sr.
Okay, that's a lot. So I take notes as my guest speaks, that I can, you know, jot down things that resonate with me or make me want to ask more questions. So the first thing I want to ask you is, Omaha, Nebraska, what?
Yeah.
So you were born in Omaha?
No, I'm a native New Yorker. I was born in Staten Island, New York, you know, halfway raised in the Bronx, you know. My grandma right there, Grand Concourse Village, you know, Stapleton Project, shout out Staten Island, you know. You know, all my Haitians, you know what I mean, my West Indian family, side of the family out there. All my family in Queens, Brooklyn. I'm sorry, New York, but we started in Brooklyn. My mom and my G-Pa and my grandma, they all from Brooklyn, you know. Bed-Stuy, you know. So that's where we get a lot of our roots, you know, off of Fulton, St. James, my grandma Janie. Shout out to G. Ma Lawson, too. She had a furniture store right there, the first black-owned furniture store right there in Brooklyn. That's my grandma Lawson, you know. So, yeah, that's where my roots was originally from. You know, I come from a diverse, like I said, a background in a dysfunctional family, but because of my controversial birth on how I was born, you know, they after a while, I had to get up out of New York, you know, for my safety and everything. because I was in danger. But I moved to Omaha, Nebraska, so the Midwest, it was, it was more than what I thought because it was heavy gang activity in the area, so we moved to the Pleasant View projects right there, and it was right next to the Hilltop projects, anything, Omaha Housing Authority. I grew up doing sports, but I couldn't stay focused, wrestling, football, boxing, the usual, But, the streets came and grabbed me by the throat. So during the time when I was in Omaha, I was too busy in the gang activity and involved in wild stuff. So I was skipping state to state from being on a run. That's how I lived in several different cities. And Arizona, I moved out to Arizona because, I wanted to get a change out of all of that from down south to Midwest back east. So I wanted something new. So, of course, I ventured on to the West Coast to mature, and I started the tattoo shop out here, got my license, and, was on to a positive road,
Right. So
I loved it, Omaha, though.
You loved Omaha. That's where the street
Yes, I did.
grabbed you by the throat, though. So how did that happen?
Right. It happened because, I was, like I said, my father wasn't there, you know what I mean, and I grew up in a brotherhood, you know what I mean, and we established that brotherhood so tight because we was all like orphans, you know what I mean, so we had each other back, it wasn't nothing that we would do, and we considered that love, even though we didn't have less and we didn't have opportunity like the rest of the kids, we made something out of nothing, so that real love and experience that I experienced there, it made me really feel home. It was a home welcoming, and I know that, we was all of the same boats, like they say, same birds of a feather flock together. It was the same thing, and that became my tribe out there too, so.
Okay. So when you say you grew up in a brotherhood, you're talking about the gang.
Well, it turned into a gang, because
it turned into a gang.
Right. It turned the tribal part of it, because we're all territorial, we're all tribal people, back to our roots in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So and everybody want to, even in America they do it. Everybody want to root for a team or root for a side and all of that. It was just our clique, our young guys clique. You know what I mean? It was just before we got older, before, like as adolescents, you know what I mean? It was a brotherhood, and then that still formed into like a brotherhood, that alliance, and then just like a sorority, it just goes and it keeps going, so.
So did the streets grab everybody by the throat, and that's how y'all became a gang? How did that happen?
Well, with me being an alpha male, like the leader of the pack, I mean, it just I stand out more. I take leadership, like I speak up, like, excuse me if you're being rude, but I'm going to tell you something about yourself, you know what I mean? Or I don't, it's just that New York mentality, that mind frame came out of me, So I always had that. They'll follow my lead, and I just been a leader because I've been ahead of my time. So when I was 10, I was already thinking like I was 15 or on a level, maturity level, talking as a 15-year-old, So with that, then everybody around me, they'll fuel off of my energy, So
gotcha.
I wish it was in a. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was about to say. I just wish it was in a righteous endeavor. I wish it was I wish I was leading my pack. I wish I was leading my tribe in a righteous way instead of in a negative way. What I fed off of the environment that I was in, where we couldn't show no love, no mercy, or or be soft. We couldn't show no weakness, no vulnerable. It was us. We had to be in character 24/7.
Now that's an interesting phrase. You said being character 24/7. Why'd you?
Right.
What was it about it that made you say being character?
Because like where we come from, you can't show no love. Like your mom barely want to hug you. Like, I love you, Mom. Good night. You know what I mean? Good night. You can't get a hug. Okay, boy, take your butt to bed. So it wasn't that. So we wasn't. It wasn't no trained to show no meekness. So that character, you had to be that character. You had to be on all gas, no brakes, 24/7. Like you couldn't show no weakness. Just like in the jungle, whether it's a concrete, a Serengeti in Africa, it's the same thing.
So was that just the way every is that the way you felt like everything and everybody was, and so that's why you had to act that way too?
Well, no,
Even
I just because I grew up in a abusive household, physical abuse, mental abuse, and watching my mom go through stuff and everybody else, moms around or family around, or we fighting with each other. So any vulnerableness, any weakness, people is going to prey on that because they might see some stuff in you that they see in themselves that they hate, and they try to point it out in you because they hate that in themselves or they don't know how to correct it about themselves, So we're trained that at a young age not to show that, Don't cry in front of nobody. You better not cry. You a boy. You can't cry. I was taught. That's how I was taught growing up in the hood, that I was a boy. Boys don't cry.
Right.
So.
And who taught you that?
Well, that's just a woman. I learned some of my best game. Hey, I learned some of my best game wisdom and knowledge from a woman, from my grandma to my mom to my aunts to my sisters to just different females.
Well, I mean, society does say that men can't cry, boys don't cry. I get that. It just sounds like this is a really extreme version of that to me.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, you said that you had a typical hood story.
Yep, that was it.
You've been through a lot of stuff, trials and tribulations, and then you did a straight turnaround. So how did your turnaround happen?
Okay, my turnaround happened when I've been in Omaha. I've been to the Douglas County. I've been to the yard out there. I did prison time out there. So when I came out to Arizona, I let all that go, and I still call myself, 1 foot in the game, 1 foot out. I'm hustling, and I got the tattoo shop, and I'm running, so running stuff state to state, and I get caught up in Tucson, and I actually get into a shootout, and it's really like more of a self-defense case, but how we live, So I was just like, I couldn't really, my hands was tied, so. I sat in front of the judge, and it was more like one of those, either y'all both sign or y'all both go to trial. One of us wants to sign, one of us wants to go to trial, And it was just, one of the emotions that I put in myself, because, I took my case on myself. I was pro se. I did it, after the lawyers was telling me that I'm not going to get out in no less than 15 years, so I took matters in my own hand, I did a motion, and the judge, he was just like, he dismissed our trial after they came and pointed us out and told them that I was one of the guys that shot him, and, over drugs, we got into a shoot. They tried to rob me or something crazy they told. But they pointed me out in the court of law, and the judge, he told us to dismiss the jury, and we're going to redo jury selection. But right there, by him pointing me out in the court of law, I looked at, that was 42 years. Out of all the other cases that I beat before in the system, that was 42 years that was going to stick to me like glue. So I just seen my life flash before my eyes, and it was worse, than me being shot, because I've been shot on different occasions. But the thing is about it is that's what's worse, because Jay-Z once said this, Michelle. He said, to kill a man while he's breathing means something. You know what I mean? So me being dead, like me being in the cell for 42 years of my life and knowing what I could have, should have did, and what I would have did, and you see what I'm saying? And,
right.
Judge Collins, after we came back, we got another jury selection, and my co-defendant, he wanted to sign the plea in. So it was a beautiful thing, man. So we both, got 10 flat years in a federal, we got sentenced. We pleaded out to a lesser charge. The judge told me, he said, Kalani, if you see a gun again, run. Like, he was like that. I was so happy to see those words. I told him, Your Honor, you ain't got to worry about me. You won't see me in your face no more. And he was like, you know what? You one of the most brightest young man that I've seen. 2 judges told me this, the same thing. And it was crazy. They said, you did more work in your 2 years of fighting than I've seen a lawyer did in 5 years. Like, you could have been a lawyer. Like, you got so much potential, but you choose to be involved in the wrong things in your life. Once you do that, you'll become a better man. And it resonated on me what the judge said because it's like I got my life spared. It's like being at the gauntlet and you know that blade about to come and chop your head off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody from the crowd whispering in his ear and having the mercy of the court, he lets you go. Of course, I'm going to dance and think of a different life. But me being on the ground and shot with them bullets, it didn't do that. It just made me being shot, it made me go harder. It made me want somebody else to feel this pain, what they inflicted upon me, you see. And that's the same thing that I told you earlier. It goes back to saying about our weakness. You know, we can't show no weakness. We can't show no vulnerable. I'm not about to get shot and just stop what I'm doing, you know. Now I got to protect myself. Now I have to go hard. So that was the mentality that I had, which was it was an idiot, the suicidal way of thinking. Like, that's detrimental, you know. Now I had time to rethink and do what I'm on my positive to where I got such a taste and got spared, and there's guys in here that got natural life sentences and 30-plus, 2 natural life sentences, and I'm like, man, I could have been in that boat. So now that inspired me to push that 180-degree turn. So, you know, I'm just like a fat person or obese person that's losing weight. You know, they don't want to ever get that weight back on them. So I got a daily regimen, a routine that I do. I pray, I write. Every day I write, I read. And I exercise on some of my projects. I exercise my mental, spiritual, and physical. That's what I think that consists of a man. And in that transition, it was a book that I read. It was called Visions of a Black Man by Naeem Akbar, and it just broke down my life, basically. Like the brotherhood that I was telling you about, the pack of wolves that I ran with in the projects and what we accumulated to, like, it showed it, like it says, you got your boyhood, you know, you got your malehood, then you got your manhood. So I was transitioning in my male because, like he said, Naeem Akbar said, like, just because you got a male organ that just makes you a male, that doesn't make you a man, you know? So I was like, wow, and you got to think, I never had a father. I never sat down and had no lit, even though I knew that I wasn't never a dummy, you know, I just haven't sat down and had no lit. Oh, and one part about that, too, I'm sorry, that I left out the equation I meant to tell you, that I didn't tell you, that I shared with my story about me writing these books. Now I done wrote over 15 books, done. My goal is 20 by the end of next year. But I want to share with y'all, sadly to say, I was illiterate. I couldn't read until I was older. A lot of people don't know that about me, you know what I mean, because I was too busy being in a class clown or, you know what I mean, or wiggling my way out of it, you know, weaseling my way out of it instead of actually reading because I was shy, like to mess up. So that's what I was more scared of. So I didn't learn how to read until I got older, you know. So when I tell my G-Ma and I tell my moms now and my family that I wrote over 15 books, if you would have told me this several years ago, I would have told you it was a damn lie. You know, so, and with the transition with the books, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm curious, though. I have a question for you related to that.
Go ahead.
Well, when did you learn to read and write?
Well, to be honest, I forgot. I think it's like from the age of like 9 to 11, somewhere in there. I forgot.
Okay.
I lost. Go ahead.
And what do you think held you back from doing that initially? You know, because most kids are picking up reading by the time they're 5 or 6, right? They're starting to read at early levels then. So
right.
what do you think prevented that for you?
I mean, I could spot read, but I just couldn't read. Like, I could spot letters like a little kid, you know what I mean? And
okay.
At the time is, with me, how I am, you know, like the trait that I have in me, I know myself now, I gotta have my interest. Reading to me is like, like left a nasty. It's like vegetables to me. It left a nasty taste in my mouth. Like, that sucks. I'm not getting no substance out of it. Like, I got to get something out the deal, you know?
Mhm.
And you got to think my mind, how I grew up, and, you know, the poverty and the less unfortunate. So my mind was more on money, on hustle, on how I could get this or what can I get, you know?
So basically you weren't in school. You were out trying to make money.
No. I was in school, but I felt like reading didn't pertain to me, you know? Like, I feel like it was useless. I'm not going to use it ever in my life. It's just, my mentality back then. I'm not getting nothing out the deal. They give me some candy, something like, what is this? This is dumb to me. Like, I didn't see. It wasn't my interest.
Gotcha. So when you started to learn to read and write, what did you think? I mean, what were you doing? Did you feel like this was something good that you were doing, or you were like, oh, well, I guess I'll just knock this out?
Well, no, it wasn't that. It wasn't the fact that reading was even hard. It was just the fact of me applying myself, The fact that I didn't ever want to apply myself. Once I applied myself, I caught on so quick, And my spelling ended up being immaculate. I didn't even know how I could spell that good. Like, wow. Like, especially in my brain, there's a little dictionary, too, in a computer, huh?
Well, that's what it is. It's like a computer. So that's what that is. Well, I'm curious then, when did you start writing your books?
Okay, I wrote my first book in 2012. Wrote my first book. It's crazy. Me doing all the legal work when I was pro se in the federal system and the state and the county jails and all that, it helps me. It helps my penmanship, you know what I mean? And I already had my mannerisms, so my penmanship and my vocab and, the art of storytelling, Each of these is books of my life and people that I encountered too, from being in New York to being in Atlanta to being in Nebraska, Chicago, L.A., Vegas, Phoenix, everywhere. It shows my Texas. It shows my diverse background, And the unique thing about writing the books when being incarcerated is that we can't just jump on the internet and do all this research like other authors can, and it take them a year or two, So me having a memory like that and to write a whole book and to do that with nothing. I freestyle all my books. That's why I call it Chopper Style Publishing, because I have my own unique style of writing. Like. I don't use no scratch pad. I don't use no notes. I just go off the top of my head. And some of my books, they rhyme a lot with my words, like how I talk, like the poetic side of me, So it's just a different signature, And I like it because it's going to be hard to duplicate for somebody else that's trying to do it.
Right.
Because it's not natural. It comes so natural to me. And it's, one of my God-given talents,
So would you say that the writing process is just easy for you then? That's what I'm hearing, is that it's a little bit easy for you.
Correct. I done mastered it to the point where I do all my chapters, I name them. Like the first one, it'll be like Omaha. The second one, it'll be like Sugar Shack. The third one, it'll be like Pleasant View. And I just talk about different things and that pertain to that, just like you rap and freestyle. That's my subject matter, and I go off here. Okay, this one I'm in Chicago. I got to talk about what happened when I'm in Chicago,
Gotcha.
And the challenging part is the different characters, like having different walks of life that you roll into. So you got different roles and different people, how they think, and got to know all of that and what would they say and, the outcome of each character. Because each character is their own personality, their own different, So I try to,
So
Go ahead.
What do you do to make your characters distinct? What kind of techniques do you use?
Well, I give each character, just like in the movie, I give them, their role to play, So if they ratchet, they're going to be the ratchet character. If they the loud character, they're going to be loud in the whole book. If they, in a quiet scene and nonchalant, he's going to be nonchalant, like a Jay-Z mentality too. So it's it comes naturally, being around different people and seeing different, it's like almost like studying people, but it's like that naturally, But that's what I pride my style on. I just pride on my freestyle, my talent, and like going off the head and just the blessing. And it's not me. I give it to the Creator. I give it all to God. Because it's what He bestilled in me to paint this picture to the world for y'all to see how my mind think and what's in my head. And that's what progressed it.
So what does your creative process turn out like? I mean, what kinds of stories are you turning out?
I'm turning out urban novels. I got different. I did a Trayvon Martin. If Trayvon Martin can talk, one too, because they say I can only do urban novels or hood books because I'm from the streets, But I do. I have a Paranormal Whispers too. It's a horror book. They say people from the hood can't write. Well, black folks, I can't write no scary movies from the hood. Tales from the Crypt and Vampire in Brooklyn. Like, they don't turn out good, But everybody, they love that Paranormal Whispers, the title alone, But, so I got different, subjects. I got different books and one thing I can say about my books is you'll never, ever hear a story like this. The original storylines, they're very innovative, you know what I mean? It's a breath of fresh air. They they got a climax ending, it's ups and downs, twists, plots. It's like unpredictable. It's like they all page turners,
Well, I've been working with you on a couple of your manuscripts, and I think I told you, I said, wow. I said, this is not something that I've read before, that's for sure. I feel like I learn a lot when I read your book.
Amen.
Parts of life I don't know much about. So I think they're an eye-opener.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, when you write your characters, are you like mixing a bunch of people up to make a character? Like especially your lead characters, or are they based on particular people, or just straight up out of your head?
Well, they're not. They're all straight up out of my head. They're not based upon solely one person, but they're just different traits. You know what I mean? So this character might have a sleazy trait. This character might have a weasel trait. You feel me? This character might have a sleazo and a weasel trait. You know what I mean? This character might just have a honest trait. And like I said, this character might just have a nonchalant, or this one might be the live wire, like ticking time bomb, like, you know what I mean? So it's just different traits, and some may have 2 or 3 traits in one, So it's different traits, and I just roll with that. What would that person at that particular time, like they say, what would Jesus do? Okay, what would Twan do right here if he was right here? He's been for the ratchets. What is Twan doing? Well, how is Twan going to think if you evaluate this situation? So everybody is interested to follow to see what Twan is going to do in this situation. And then when this follow his lap, let's see how he going to think on this situation. So the same way,
Okay. So what's your goal for all of these manuscripts? How many do you have written so far?
Okay. I have 15 completed. I currently have 19 altogether. I got 4 different ones that I'm working on right now. Sometimes I write in 2 of them a day. Sometimes I write in 1 of them a day. Sometimes I write in all 4 of them. So my plan by the end of 2018, so January 2019, I plan on having 20 books, all self-published and all on Amazon, and with my links to my website, and and then after I'm done with after I'm done with my books, I want to do book tours and everything like that upon my release and everything. And what I want to do is, since the mass of people is not reading, you got people incarcerated, you got people in college, you got some people, we're going to have the e-books and everything there too. But what it challenged me to see, this is another part, it's levels to it. And it challenged me now to where, okay, I done showed everybody. I got 20 hot books all on Chopper Style Publishing. I'm my own Chapman Senior Literary Agency, so I can sign you. We can do a contract, and I can sign you onto my book label. I got my LLC and everything. Everything's legit. You come onto my label. Now I'm going to sign y'all. I done did it. I done showed y'all. I know what I'm talking about. This is my expertise. It takes me 30 days to write a manuscript. 30 days. They use like 300-page manuscripts. So 30 days for me to write an urban novel. And I challenge myself to be like, if I would get a Hollywood script, they tell me, okay, Mr. Chapman, we want 30 days. You'll go write a part 2 of Pimp or the Ratchets or She-Go or Hot Thoughts, any one of my books. So, that was my work ethic that I pushed myself. And before I leaned back, I had 15 books of me striving like that little every day in the show. But I was knocking them out quick. You know, and every time I think of one book idea, and I'm like, oh, I can't have this character do this, but this is for the next book. It's a whole different book idea. It's a whole different way I could run with it. Then I start seeing, like I said, using different parts of my brain, seeing how versatile I was. And so I decided, like, okay, after I finish with this book publishing thing, and I'm not finished with it, I mean, after I finish writing books, then I could step my game up and then do the movies because it ain't a lot of people read. So I'm going to start doing, like, the Ice Cubes, the John Singleton. I'm going to do my own movies. So that's pushed me to go to film school. And right now I'm currently writing scripts to learn. You know, I'm learning. A lot of people don't know this. 2 years ago I shot a script to Netflix. It was poorly written and they sent it back. Not because I was a bidder or nothing, but I wrote it like in an urban novel context. Then they told me they only accept scripts like during the March, April area, and it was at a time frame. You know, so that pushed me more like, okay, now I have to get educated. That was like a slap on the wrist. Like, you know what I mean? After I put my all into it, but I realized like it wasn't your all because you wasn't educated. So once I'm all-ly educated on all of this, that's why I'm going to go take my time, go to film school, learn the angles of the camera, learn how to produce, learn how to direct, and do my own independent films. I'm self-made. I pride myself on being self-made. I also do the $1 billion blueprint entrepreneurship. And like I say, I believe that not all of our, you know, roots and history is from West and East Africa. Some of us is from Egypt, and our ancestors is Egypt because how I think ahead, just like the pyramids and some of the things that they still couldn't, you know, predict how they even figured out how they had it, and they didn't have calculators back then. So my mind is at that God speed, like it moves warp speed ahead, you know. So on my level of thinking and my mental, so I believe that I have that Egyptian oil in me, you know, just the presence and the pull. So I believe that same mind frame, and that's why I get that $1 billion blueprint, because I believe that you could get $1 billion, and this is what leads to I'm going to open up something that didn't nobody do before. My visions and the things that I foresee for 7 generations down, it's going to leave room, you know, and that's that $1 billion blueprint. All these different things that is in my equation, you can't help but to hit $1 billion if you do this like the way that I'm about to do this in the industry, to where Universal is going to give me like $50 million and tell me, okay, Chapman Senior here, this is for 5 projects, just get it done. Like, we believe that, like, your work is sold the wonders and the genius in you and these stories, and I'm going to continue to pitch to Netflix and do it right and start pitching my scripts like these books. And, you know me, I got 100 of these in my head, so I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue to push. Plus the real estate endeavors and the different endeavors, like I told you, the different projects of, you know, my social media and different things and brands that I'm working on, you know?
Right. Well, you said something I think that's really important, and you said it real fast, so I'm going to kind of go back to
I'm sorry.
because I think this is really important, though, and I think people can miss it. You talked about basically laying a foundation for 7 generations out, and that is something that I think African-American people in this country, you know, we just haven't had the luxury of thinking that way. And I do consider it to be a bit of a luxury when you're kind of, you know, struggling.
Right.
You know, not all of us are struggling, so I'm not going to sit here and play it like every single person is struggling. But when people are struggling, for the most part, as individually and as families and as communities, it's kind of hard to even envision the next generation or 2 generations out. So how would you, I mean, because I like that concept of envisioning, looking 7 generations out. They say that Native American culture, that's one of the things that the way that they think is 7 or 10 generations out, and that's part of the reason they're so concerned about taking care of the earth, for example, you know, because they're like, well, I may not be here, but this could affect my great, 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 you know. How would you help? What do you think that people can do to start thinking in that way? That's more than just long term. Long term for us is 5 years out in the United States typically. You're talking about thinking a lot of if a generation's 30 years, that's a long time. You're talking about thinking 200 years out. So how does that happen? How do people change their way of thinking?
Well, first off, you have to understand, of anything that comes with understanding. You could do anything, you just got to know how. If you can't do much, you don't know much. You could be a president, you got to know how. You could be an astronaut, you got to know how. You could be a barber, you just got to know how. So the thing is, with knowing how, you have to understand first. So you got to understand the basics. Right now, you know, you could have 10 people, you feel me? And out of that 10 people, you're going to have 2 different groups of 5. He don't mess with him because he don't mess with him. She don't talk to him because she don't talk to her. You see what I'm saying? Instead of us coming together, there's no togetherness. So it's just an old split that they put that's been instilled in us. That's not us, but it's been instilled in us. Divide and conquer. So old theory is working. We too busy to come together. If we came together and used all of our ingenious minds, everybody got a position to play on this earth. Everybody got a role to play and a part to play in this book of life. I'm not talking about the Facebook book of life. I'm talking about the real book of life, the scrolls, you know. So if you don't understand that, if you don't understand that togetherness and each and everybody off of I, self, that's why we can't build. You know, so the builders of the world, the warriors of the world, all of us could come together. You know, the queens of the world, you know, the goddess of the world, we could come together. Everybody got their role to play. But now, if everybody's not going to come together, there's ways to get it together, like how I'm doing it. You know, it's not just my family. I'm feeding my whole tribe, you know, all my loved ones. I'm not just talking about my immediate family and my immediate circle. I'm talking about towns, cities, nations, and what I'm meant to rule and what I'm meant to do. All the good leaders they done killed, they done got assassinated, or they didn't overcome obstacles. If you look in the history books and the wars and it's a different ploy. So I'm very tactical. I'm just using a different advantage on how I do it. So I'm sniping from a long range, and I'm watching the whole, you know. I'm the one that's the leader of the town. I'm not going to fall asleep on the village. You can't come in my village. I'm out. If you come out, I'm alert. Let my village know. They ain't got to work. They can sleep while I'm up watching, you know. And that's one of my sayings, too. Y'all sleep. Let them sleep while we eat. You know, and some of the best things that I've created in my life has been overnight, you know.
Right. Wow. You shared a lot of really wonderful information for the audience. And so I want to ask you, what one piece of advice would you give to someone who is trying to build or create for themselves, especially if they're incarcerated?
Okay. My incarceration, it was hard because I had to establish my independence. I used that same work from home concept, but work from a cell. So, you know, and I didn't believe, just like if I was out in the real world and not incarcerated, I don't believe nothing can stop you. Whether it's you go there to 8 years to get your doctor in, or whatever you take, is that dedication. Whatever you put into the earth, you're gonna get out. Whatever you reap, what you sow. You know what I mean? It's the universe, I believe, the laws of the universe. Whatever goes up must come down. Karma 360, the world is round. It goes up, it comes, you see what I'm saying? So whatever you push in, you're going to get back, just like a push-up. You're going to come back down. You know what I mean? So my best thing, my best advice would be is that everybody, each one of us, have our own unique story. So my best advice would be like, it's your story. It's what you want to do. You push it. You apply yourself. You got to catapult that to the world. I don't care if you want to just do a T-shirt label. You know, I don't care if you just want to be employee of the month at Walmart. It's to strive. It's to apply yourself. You won't get no results if you don't apply yourself. Most people are afraid to apply themselves, or afraid to think out of the box. And I know not everybody have a genius mind like me to think outside the box, and mind moves as fast as mine do. But you got to do in your lane, and you do what's good at you. That niche column, you have to find what you're good at and exploit that. You got to find what you're good at, what you're good at. Some people, motor skills is better than others. Some people, language is better. It's different things. It's different craft that you got to find what's your craft and use it to the best of your knowledge. And, you know, like the old saying is, if you have fun when you do it and it's not working, you know?
Yes. Have fun and you don't work a day in your life, something like that, huh?
Amen.
Awesome. Well, Kalani, where can people get in touch with you? What projects do you have going on? What do you want the audience to know about you right now?
Oh my God, I have so much going on, man. Like I said, I had 10 different projects. I named several of them, but it's so many. Y'all can reach me at, I got my Facebook, Hitachi Choparazzi. That's my brand. Hitachi Choparazzi. That's my brand. Chopper Style Publishing, .com. I'm working on my website, and I'm projecting myself to get up there. My books is gonna be available soon on Amazon. We're gonna start off with the Hot Thoughts and the Pimp of the Ratches first. Netflix. Look for my pitches, because I'm coming with that too, with my scripts. I got the Bugatti shoes. I'm about to have a link on my website to get my shoes. With my Cousin Bird at T-shirt of the week. I got my $1 Billion Blueprint T-shirts and hoodies and, my brand of shirts, I have a few different restaurants that I'm trying to put together. I don't like using that word trying, but I got a few different restaurants that I'm putting together. One of them is Fish Stop. I designed a I had to keep it good. I designed the chicken and waffle cupcake that I've made a little bit of money off of right now, vendor orders. I need that pastry chef again. Shout out to Patrick Dargan in New York, man, pastry chef, man, retired pastry chef, in Brooklyn. What's up, Pat, man? Get at me. But quick shout out. But yes, and my venture, I'm continue to build my revenue and, work on this empire and build every day,
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Well, Kalani, thank you so much for sharing with us. This has been phenomenal. And make sure you guys follow Kalani. What's your Instagram handle?
Oh, my Instagram, too, is Hitachi Choparazzi, HITACHI. And then Choparazzi, CHOPARAZZI, like paparazzi, Choparazzi.
Awesome.
Yeah, Facebook, awesome. Instagram, y'all can follow me, man. My Twitter, it'll be up soon, so, I'm about to be tweeting and all of that, Y'all know. The favorite Snapchat, Pimp is back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very
Blessings,
cool.
So I really appreciate your time, Michelle. I really appreciate, me having a voice from with the walls within and me creating this buzz before I come home. You know what I mean? And this anticipation is real good because it's going to show the before and the after,
Well, I am wishing you all the best on your projects. And, I think they're going to do fabulously well because just so you know, folks, I've been reading these manuscripts, and they are hot. So you definitely want to look for those when they come out. And, Kalani, thank you so much for spending the time. All right.
Okay, thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate your time. I love y'all world. Everybody that tuned in, man, I love y'all, man. Shout out to my section, man. Shout out to Hitachi Tribe. Shout out to everybody that's listening. I love y'all, man. I do this for y'all. Blessings.
Well, that's our show this week, guys. You can reach out to me online at urbanbookeditor.com or michelleberard.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram as Urban Book Editor. Send me a note. I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to send in some topics you'd like us to cover on the show. Make sure you guys tune into the show on January 10th, 2020, when my guest will be author and coach Dr. Kendra Davis Birch. You can find us twice a month on Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern at the somewhereinthemiddlepodcast.com. Let's continue the conversation. You guys be good, stay mindful, and remain prayerful. Peace and blessings, y'all, and happy holidays, and